Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in this evening's podcast, we're going to be reviewing the big final over the weekend. Chelsea being crowned Club World Champions. Now, joining me this evening to review this match and to talk some football, we have returning to the podcast, Christoph.
Good to be back, viewers.
Yes, indeed, Christoph. I would say a big upset over the weekend. Chelsea, of all teams, being crowned World Club Champions. Talk to us about that game, Christoph. What's your reaction? Was it an expected result or was this a shocker?
Going into it, very much not. It was not an expected result. No, I highly doubt, aside from potentially Chelsea fans, nobody expected Chelsea to win that game. But watching that game, to me, PSG went into that match overconfident and thinking they had already won, and it's very apparent that they don't get the memo, or they didn't get the memo. Stop Cole Palmer, you stop Chelsea.
Stuff cool. That's what I was watching the game, Christoph, and I kept saying that. I mean, apparently these guys don't watch the EPL. The blueprint is clear. You stop Cole Palmer, you stop Chelsea. And they failed to do that. Cole Palmer coming up with a brace and also setting up Joe Pedro for a third. And that was game, set, and match from the first half. I think it's the manner of the win that was so shocking for me. You could understand a 1-0, scoring a goal and the counter potentially, but a demolition job in the first half, and PSG had no answers. And obviously, indiscipline crept into their game as well as the game wore on. And you could see the players really losing their cool. But I somewhat concur with you. I think it was a case where PSG was overconfident going into this one, and Chelsea gave them a humbling defeat, in all honesty.
Right. They went in very overconfident. Like we said, they clearly don't know that all you have to do to beat Chelsea is stop Cole Palmer, and you have won that game. But also, Cole Palmer is deadliest on the counter attack, and all three of Chelsea's goals came from the counter attack.
Yeah, yeah, the tactics were spot on by Maresca and winning this this first of its kind, you could say, this format of the Club World Cup. Uh his name goes down in Chelsea history, Chelsea folklore, and he would now have some credit in the bank, Christoph, going into the new EPL season. So technically, he could very well afford to lose a few games early on, and we might not necessarily hear Chelsea fans calling for him to be sacked because no, he has two trophy within a very short space of time. The Conference League, granted, it's a lesser of the European titles, but it is still a trophy. And now he has the Club World Cup pretty much at this moment, stamping Chelsea as the best club in the world presently. One who would have
Question
thought?
mark.
Well,
I think there's a
you have
question
to give
mark there.
credit where credit is due for sure. You have to give credit where credit is due. And Chelsea, I mean, where credit must be given is that I thought the Chelsea coaching staff had an excellent plan for this PSG team. And
Oh,
within
definitely.
the first 10, 15 minutes, you could see that plan. PSG pretty much could not get a hold of the ball within the first 10. Chelsea had them on the ropes. And in fact, Cole Palmer should have even scored earlier in the game, Christoph, when he
That
missed
shot
a
at the 7 minute,
gilt-edged chance.
that was a that was a brilliant chance. Watching it live, I thought it was a goal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, everyone thought it was a goal at that point, but PSG did come back rally. They settled somewhat and did create a chance of their own. I thought that chance by Doak, the young player of the tournament, Christoph, I thought he should have gone for goal rather than trying to pass. And that chance was snuffed out by I believe it was either Gusto or Cucurella. And that was probably PSG's best chance in the first half. Granted, the Chelsea goalkeeper did come up with a few magnificent saves to keep PSG out, but in general, it was a deserved win for Chelsea, and kudos to that Chelsea team and to the coaching staff. And we also see the new signing, Christoph, Joe Pedro, formerly of Watford, formerly of Brighton, now playing his trade in Chelsea Blue. What can we expect from him going forward? Is he the answer to the number nine situation over there at Chelsea,
Well,
or is Jackson still the
Ch-
man?
Chelsea bought themselves two number nine, so I think it's very much fair to say Jackson is probably done at Chelsea. Not to mention, if you recall earlier in the tournament, he got subbed down and then got a red card a few minutes after coming on. So, uh,
Will Arsenal be going in for him though, Christoph? That's the
I, I
question.
I know that Arsenal seem to have their sights set on a much better striker, much better finisher.
Well, I mean, Arsenal seem to be buying all the want-aways from Chelsea in recent time, in all honesty. So it's
Um,
quite shocking they may not put in a bid for Jackson.
no, highly unlikely.
Mm.
Um, there is
But not
nothing.
surprising if they did, though.
No, it would be extremely surprising. There is nothing in Jackson's game that would tell me that he would potentially even come over to Arsenal and translate to being better.
Mm.
Um,
But what
the,
about Madueke? I mean, he is a signing which Arsenal have locked up, a former player of Chelsea who seem to have been out of favor. What is within
um,
his game why Arsenal would shell out in excess of 50 million to bring him in,
I think the transfer fee is way too high. I think aside from Cole Palmer.
right?
No Chelsea player, in my opinion, should be costing more than 40 million pounds. Even when
Mm.
Arsenal bought Kai Havertz, I thought Kai Havertz was a waste
So
of
what
money.
about
It
Caicedo? I mean, Caicedo
prove me wrong.
seemed to have settled well.
No. All right. You see, if all right, Ch-
Enzo, Caicedo,
Caicedo
Enzo,
Caicedo has settled well,
right?
definitely at Chelsea. If just go back to any big match for last season, when Chelsea played one of the big teams, Caicedo's crumpled like a wet blanket in those games.
So you're saying he disappears in the big games?
I think he is not as good as people think he is. He's not necessarily
Mm.
disappeared. He's not the same quality as the Arsenal, the Man City, the Liverpool.
I see, I see, I see. Makes sense, makes sense. I mean, for sure, he was a standout player in this final, in all honesty. I mean, he did have a good game, and of course, tactically, the coach placed Reece James, Christoph, in that midfield. That was a shock selection for me personally. I didn't see Reece James playing in that midfield role at all against what could arguably have been the best midfield in the world, that PSG midfield three, and he did not look out of place for the vast majority of the game, in all honesty. Is this something we are looking at long term? Will we see Reece James being deployed in a midfield role come the start of the EPL season, or will he be reverted back to his either on the bench injured or his right back position? Because we know it's a matter of time before he gets injured again.
I cannot say with 100% certainty. I don't know what the coach is, but it's a move that makes sense. They wanted to have a solid, kind of blanket in front of that defense, and it was very sensible. I'm legitimately surprised more teams don't do it, placing a defender in that defensive midfield slot to get a better cover of the defense.
But I think you need certain qualities to play that role. It's not just being a defender per
No,
se.
not if you're going to simply sit and sweep up anything that comes around. You don't need to have some of those midfield qualities, in my opinion. It's
Well, I
a
mean, you'll be an
not every
offensive liability in
I
in that
don't
sense.
not yeah, but if you just want somebody to sit in front of your defense, you don't need
Oh, but
them
you
to
could
be
get a D mid to do that. Somebody who is capable, familiar with the position,
good defensive
and can offer
midfielders.
something going forward as well.
Good defensive midfielders are in short supply.
So are you
You
saying, let's
don't
say
need
Arsenal, for example, you're telling me you would sit who is there in the Arsenal midfield now?
Zubamendi.
Right. So you're saying, for example, you would sit at Zubamendi and play a defender, out and out
Zu,
defender with Rice and
Zubamendi is not is
Odegaard in that midfield.
I'm saying it's something that you can do. Somebody, for example, in the case of Arsenal, they could
Right.
easily move Jurian Timber to defensive midfield to play
And you're saying
alongside.
he'll be just as effective.
I think so, yeah. Somebody like Timber.
I'm not sure about that.
I'm not
I'm not
saying,
sure about that
hey,
at all.
I'm not saying everybody can do it.
Right.
That's not
No,
what
but
I'm
that's what
saying.
I'm saying.
I'm
There's
saying
certain
there are
qualities.
players who are defenders who can do it.
Right. Yeah, which it seems like James. he probably in his youthful days once played in that midfield role, almost similar to Skelly over there at Arsenal, who is really a midfielder by trade, who
Skelly is
was
a defensive
converted.
midfielder.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But he was converted into playing the wing back role. So it could be a similar case of James, where previously James played midfield. So as I said, he would still have some skill set which is culpable for playing that position. You can't just take any defender and throw them in. It's not going to be as effective. Plus, this is obviously something you would have to train as well, and not just out of the blue for a one-off game you just take a defender and throw him in there as a midfielder, in all honesty. So this was an excellent tactic. And as I said, from the Chelsea coaching staff, and you have to give credit. But what of PSG, Christoph? I mean, outside of being overconfident, what is it that PSG had been doing well, but wasn't allowed to do in this game?
To be fair, like I said, PSG took other games more seriously. For,
Well,
for,
I mean,
for
all right, once you get that wake up call, you must have gotten a wake up call come halftime. Granted, we did see a better,
half time they were 3-0 down. The wake
right.
up call, you
We
would
did
take
see a better performance from them in the second half. Granted, we did. But, it was quite shocking. I mean, a team of this caliber, which pretty much dismantled the Inter Milan not so long ago in the Champions League final, almost like Chelsea did a similar demolition job on them as they did to Inter Milan. I mean, at halftime, that game was done and dusted. It's hard for any team apart from Liverpool, you could say, in that famous comeback in Istanbul when Liverpool was down 3-0 at halftime to AC Milan with all those legends, the Kaka, the Crespos, etc. And they rallied to come back 3-3, took it to penalties and came away victorious. It very few games you see teams coming back from 3-0 down, and PSG could not even get on the score sheet against a Chelsea defense, which yeah, I don't think they will put up any stumps with that defense come this EPL season, in all honesty. So it's quite shocking. Probably the players just did not turn up on the day. And again, credit must be given to the goalkeeper, Sanchez. I was thinking, when did Chelsea buy Alisson? I, I thought looking at Sanchez, it was Alisson in disguise. I'm wondering to myself, when did Chelsea buy Alisson? Because they're constantly buying players moving in and out of that squad with at a constant pace. But ah. Interesting times ahead for sure. I mean, going forward though, Christoph, the players at Chelsea should be full of confidence entering into this EPL season.
definitely the players should be confident coming into the EPL season. The question is, will they be tired coming into this
Well,
EPL season?
that's a
The
question that will be answered in
a
due
lot
time,
the teams who did not play in this Club World Cup, they are starting their preseason now.
right?
Chelsea players will go off for about a month or so, and then
A
only have a
month? No, man. Come no, man. Maybe a
Chelsea
week
player.
or two at most.
Chelsea players, man. Some,
No,
not
man,
all
not
of
a
them.
month. Not a month.
They're
Not
going to go off for
Remember,
probably
it's
like a
about
month.
what, 4 weeks before the start of the EPL season at this point in time? Yeah, I think they'll get a week's break. The key players, the players who play the majority of minutes, they'll get a week's break, and then it's back to business after a week.
Uh,
The
they're
other
they're
players who may have been a bit part
they're
players, they'll
they're
go
they're,
straight
they're
into
def
preseason
they,
training.
they they are definitely not going to get just a week. I kind of almost get, even if they don't get a month, they will be getting at least 2 or 3 weeks. The
No,
Cole
no, no, not at
Somebody
all.
like
Not
Cole
at all.
Palmer is going to get two
He's
three
gonna
weeks.
no man. Cole Palmer will get a week off. The Chelsea players will get a week off, or a week and a half off, maybe to celebrate this cup a few days, and then it's back to business as usual. Yeah, I mean, obviously they will have a different training plan for those players who, as I said, would have racked up extra minutes in the Club World Cup. But in terms of those fringe players, those new signings who need to get their fitness levels up and to bed in with the squad, yeah, it's regular preseason as per usual, in all honesty. So, I mean, we are living in modern times, Christoph, where sports science and medicine is at these teams' fingertip. They don't have to be guessing these things. They would have been tracking distance is being covered, sprints being made, all the various analytics and statistics, and they would have been on top of things in terms of sports medicine. So I don't think anyone should really be worried about players being burnt out or overworked or anything like that. The scientists, the sports scientists and sports medicine gurus who are paid big bucks and are employed by these teams and are using the latest scientific equipment, GPS tracking, etc. Yeah, they're gonna have a lid on things and they know players who are entering into that red zone as opposed to those who are not. So it's gonna be different conditioning for different players, but I have no worries that Chelsea and other teams who would have participated in the Club World Cup will be ready for kickoff in the new season when it comes around. But what chance do you give a Chelsea team at this point in time, Christoph? I mean, looking at the EPL landscape, looking at the signings coming in from various teams, I mean, what chance do you give Chelsea of lifting the EPL title? Are they contenders at this point in time? Or you're looking at them possibly finishing down the pecking order?
I until the season has started, or at least until the transfer window is like, I don't consider anybody contenders because
But what can you say though? I
how
mean, with
you
the moves
start
they're
the
making,
EPL.
what can you say about the moves?
I honestly don't know the
And
big
of
moves
course,
that
the
Chelsea are
performance.
making.
I mean, in their case, we can definitely comment on the performance. But what of the moves? I mean, they've brought in
I only know
uh
of Pedro and Delap.
Pedro Dilap, Gittins, I believe, Borussia from Borussia Dortmund, a
Yeah,
winger. I
Gittins,
think he's the
Gittins, yeah.
direct replacement for Madueke. So they have made at least three signings and probably a few others going out. But of the three signings, what do you make? I mean, they seem to be chiseling out a well-oiled squad, in all honesty.
Both Gittins and Delaps look threatening to me. Seeing them in the Club World
As
Cup.
well as Estavio, that's another Brazilian who was in this Club World Cup and ironically scored against Chelsea as well. I believe he's 19-year-old winger. He looks a real gem, or he looks a real fine. Could ready-made, it seems, for the
All right,
EPL.
but
Probably need to just put on some mass, some muscle mass, and he should be good to go.
so I sometimes you can judge a player by how they play for another team, right? And
Right,
they look good, but you can't necessarily judge how they will perform in the EPL. So
right,
I can't give judgment on them as yet. Delap, played in the league. Pedro played in the league. I
right.
expect them to do well. They look threatening in this Club World Cup. Delap when he came on in the second half against PSG, he looked to score. In my opinion, he looked like he was out to score. So,
Yeah, I
um,
mean, obviously that number nine spot seems to be still up for grabs. I would say Joe Pedro is probably leading the pecking order, but I'm not sure if the Chelsea coaching staff has really decided on an out and out number nine. So probably Jackson is still in the mix, in all honesty. I
I don't
mean, he
think
was the
Jackson is
man
in the
last
mix.
season,
I
but
don't
who
think
to
Jackson
tell?
is in the mix. Jackson is not in the mix.
Well, one can
I,
only speculate at this
I
point,
I think at most Jackson will get the preseason to try and get a spot for himself.
right?
If
Or he'll
he,
be sold. Maybe the surplus to requirement at this point in time.
I think at this point in time he's surplus to requirements. I
Right,
think he might get a chance in preseason to prove he's not surplus. Right
right.
now, in my opinion, he's surplus to
So
requirement.
if a
Chelsea will be
substantial offer
looking.
comes in for him, then he's gone.
Yeah, I think if somebody makes a bid, Chelsea will sell him. No
Well, it would
question
make
asked.
sense, of course. I mean, if I'm inside that squad as well as Jackson, if I was in Jackson's shoes and I see two number nines being bought, then to me the writing is on the wall. They're there to take my position. So, I would be packing my bags at this stage and looking at a club that is in need of my
To
services,
be
a
fair,
team that will embrace me.
I mean, he can't complain about getting pushed out. He has had 2 seasons to try and prove himself. He has had countless gilt-edged chances that he has not scored, in my opinion. If you remember, like even under Mauricio Pochettino, you remember those 2 games, Man City, where we didn't give Chelsea any chance against them, only for
Oh,
him
that
to be
early game in the season, Chelsea
even
versus Man
even
City.
even the second game. Nicholas Jackson again getting a number of chances early out in the games, gilded chances that he doesn't score. Last season, a bit later, second half of the season, he seemed like he was on fire for a couple of games, and you were talking about, it, and I said, probably we just seen him having a purple patch, and he's going to, fade away again, and he did.
Yes, yeah. I
I
guess one of the biggest legacy from the Pochettino era, though, Christoph, was the purchase of Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer came in under Pochettino's leadership at Chelsea, and he has been the standout player ever since. And where would Chelsea be without a Cole Palmer? One must ask. So he has to be wrapped up in cotton wool to ensure he doesn't get injured because without Cole Palmer, this Chelsea team will struggle to find creativity and goals, in all honesty. So, again, the formula is clear for all the EPL teams. Shut down Cole Palmer, you shut down Chelsea. So, Chelsea must be looking for other alternatives this time out. All that
I
scoring
don't.
burden cannot be left up on the
No,
shoulders of a Cole Palmer.
it's. I don't think it's that they need to look for an alternative. They just need to potentially fine tune what their goal scoring will be. In my opinion, they can defend. They can defend. It's not necessarily the greatest defense in
Right.
the league or in Europe. Um, they can defend. Uh, Sanchez had a tremendous game against PSG, but Sanchez was very suspect last season. Will
Probably still is. Probably the
Probably still is. He just
consistency
have
or the
a right.
inconsistency might
So
creep in over 30
will
game
Chelsea
period.
go and try and find a new number one, or will they try it with Sanchez?
What says you though? I mean, if you were the manager, would you be looking for a new number one? Or would you be satisfied with what you have at your disposal currently?
If I was Chelsea manager,
Yes.
I would be looking for at the very least somebody to rival Sanchez, even if it's not
So,
somebody to.
wait. So you're saying you're bringing in a number two then instead of a number one?
No, no, I said at the very least. Ideally, if I'm
Yes,
Chelsea, if I'm
but
Ch
that's what I'm saying. Ideally, if you are the
no,
Chelsea manager,
yeah,
ideally, what are you doing?
I would be bringing in a number one. I would,
Okay, okay,
I
okay,
think
okay.
if I recall correctly, PSG Donnarumma is up for sale. So if
Well,
Chelsea
easy,
has
easy.
yeah
When
yeah
you say up for sale, what exactly do you mean?
his contract is up for renewal. He has made terms
So
that
he's a
PSG
free agent then, you're saying?
he is not a free agent. He is
Oh, but a year
available for sale.
he has
If
been placed on he's been
no
transfer
no no no
listed.
he's not he's yes essentially he's like PSG are if somebody comes in they can buy him. They're not
Okay.
necessarily looking to push him out, but he will not be getting a contract renewal. But if somebody comes in and buys him,
When you say he's not, I'm not understanding what you're saying. He's not getting a contract renewal. So you're saying PSG is willing to let him walk then for free
I think
when
PSG will
his current contract runs out.
potentially because we
Okay.
haven't seen any bids coming as yet, but he is
Mm.
available to purchase. If so,
Okay, so he could possibly be landing at Manchester United then because United is definitely in need of a number one.
I believe I heard United is looking at Emi Martinez.
Mm. That's the Aston Villa current
Yeah.
goalkeeper.
Emi Martinez 100% is leaving Aston Villa. I've heard United are interested, but I've heard other teams are interested as well.
So why would he be leaving?
He wants to leave. He's done.
So he's out of contract. His contract is up,
No, his contract is not up, but he
but
wants to
he's
leave.
pushing for a
He is
move.
pushing for a move.
Okay, I see. Interesting times over there at Aston Villa then. I mean, we hear of links to Leon Bailey as well. So,
Oh,
number of teams are really making moves.
oh, Leah,
Fenerbahce, the latest I
I
heard
think
was
I heard Saudi
Fenerbahce.
League was also interested in Leon Bailey.
Right, that was earlier in the season. The latest I've heard is that Fenerbahce over there in Turkey is interested in his service, or that has been the latest football rumor as it relates to
Okay.
Leon Bailey per se. But a lot of teams in the EPL, Christopher, are making moves. I mean, Liverpool have done some early business, but I think they're still in the market for a centre back and possibly a number nine. I mean, the loss of Jata has really hit the club big, especially in the offensive third, and the likes of Darwin Núñez was linked with a move. That move may now have to be reconsidered. So all is not rosy over there at Liverpool. Arsenal, Christoph, talk to us about Arsenal. I hear Arsenal are tying up a number nine at the moment. Gokieres is the man at the moment, Christoph. And that sounds like a deal that is now done. Are you now satisfied with the business that Arsenal has done? And can
Well,
they win the EPL based off this business?
well, let's say a deal is close until the club has presented
Well,
the
let's
player. I
assume
don't
that
take it.
Gokieres is locked up. Let's assume. Let's work from the assumption that Gokieres is signed, sealed, and delivered to Arsenal. Are you satisfied with the business? And can this squad now win the EPL title?
I would be mostly satisfied, but I hear there's two more signings coming in.
Yes.
There is one center defender coming in, as well as Arsenal are
Who is that center defender?
from Valencia.
Valencia Mosquera.
Yes.
Yeah, but that signing is sealed up. That signing is done and dusted.
No, Arsenal have
Yeah,
not
man. I'm
presented the
telling
player.
you, that signing is done and
Hey,
dusted,
hey,
man.
hey, hey, hey. Arsenal have not presented the player, so the transfer is not complete.
No, man. Once you hear that from Fabrizio, it's as good as you can take it to the bank.
When I don't recall Fabrizio saying that signing is confirmed.
All right. Well, based on who, let's go from the assumption that Gokieres is signed.
Hmm.
So go from the assumption that Gokieres signed, you already signed Zuma Mendy, and you already signed the Chelsea,
Madueke,
the Madueke, right? Those three
Norgard.
signings. Assume you have those three signings in the bag. Can that squad win the title without any further additions at this point?
barring no
No,
injury
man.
cri barring no injury crisis. I think they currently have a deep enough squad to challenge for the title.
Okay, but you're not convinced they'll
To
win.
win. I think they have a deep enough squad to win the title,
To win,
barring
okay.
no injury crisis.
Yeah, I mean, but injury is always part of the game.
No,
That's
no,
why
no,
you
no,
have a
no, no.
deep squad.
Right, yeah, you have an injury, you have a one injury to have, but an injury crisis. Imagine you have 11 players injured.
No, I mean, that has not happened. I mean, if you say three to
Ha
four key
half of
players,
half of Arsenal squad was injured last season.
well, it's parts and parcels of the game. We can't use us as excuse. That's why we have
What do you
team
mean you
doctors,
can't? But
physios,
it is
and
a valid
deep
excuse.
squad. You have two
It
players for
is
each
a
position
no,
at
no, no,
least.
no, no. Yeah, yes, but half of Arsenal squad was injured, so
Well,
there
I'm not
were
sure
no
about
backup.
half. That might be an over exaggeration there. At
Half
the same time, I don't think so either.
both strikers injured. Everybody in the back line
No,
has
but
been
Arsenal
injured.
wasn't using those strikers who was injured anyway. I mean,
Who was
Mourinho,
Arsenal?
but
Who was
Mourinho
Arsenal?
stepped in
Hold
and
on,
did
hold
a
on, hold
pretty
on.
decent job.
Who were the strikers Arsenal were not using that were injured?
That's Jesus and Havertz.
Arsenal were using both of them.
Yeah,
Both of
but
them got
Mourinho,
injured.
Mourinho, the Spanish international, stepped in and looked
Is
like a brand new number nine.
is a
He
defensive
was even
midfielder who
deployed in
filled
that
in.
position for Spain as well.
Was a defensive midfielder that was used as a stopgap.
Converted as a nine, and
No, no.
he came up
You
with the
you
goods.
you won't see him as a nine next season outside of an injury crisis.
Well, again, I mean, with the signing of the big number nine, Gokieres, the scoring burden should be firmly planted at his feet. And, the likes of Saka, Odegaard, etc. should chip in with their share of goals also. And of course, what of the likes of Jesus and Kai, Christoph? They may be relegated to play in a squad role. Or will you be looking to sell any of the two above mentioned?
As I've said, I think Kai Havertz is best used as a tactical piece.
Mm,
If I were to sell one of them, it would definitely be Jesus because of his injury record and
I
how
see.
long it kind of takes him to get back into form when coming back from injury.
Interesting times ahead for sure. Interesting times ahead. And we also see your rival neighbor, Christoph, the North London Derby rivals, Tottenham Hotspur, also making some moves. They've gotten rid of the coach which led them to the Champions League, and they have now under the leadership of
But I said it that he would
Thomas
probably.
Frank.
I said it regardless of result, he would either leave or be fired.
Mm. So what can we make of Tottenham this season? What can we expect from Thomas Frank? And we already see him diving into the transfer market, and a couple of those transfers have come under what should I say, dubious circumstances. I mean, we hear of tapping up with the Morgan Gibbs White potential transfer. That one is heavily linked, but uh some complications developing there. But they have already made, I think, a signing. Who have they signed? Spurs, that
Um,
is. I know they made a big name signing some time ago. Who is that? The name is eluding me currently.
oh well, Tottenham is looking at like Mbomo.
No, I think they made a
Kudos,
signing already.
kudos, kudos, Mohamed
Kudos,
Kudos.
right, right. Yes, from West Ham, formerly of West Ham. Kudos.
Mm.
So he has been signed up. As I said, they are looking at signing Morgan Gibbs White from Nottingham Forest as well. And we also see Newcastle making some moves as well, signing up Ilanga, Christoph, one of your favorite footballers last season. You have always been giving him props, and he has now made a big money move over to Newcastle. Farmer coming all the way from Manchester United, went to Nottingham Forest and really stamped his class on that team, really lifting them up in the in the league table.
At the
And
moment,
now
yo,
Newcastle has gone in for him, and that Newcastle attack Christoph is really looking very
at
powerful
the,
as it
I
relates to
mean,
firepower they're accumulating over there at Newcastle.
in my opinion, teams should probably be looking to United to try and buy some of those players. They want to get players out, as well as these players seem to become two times as good when they leave United. So, looking at players like Anthony to be moved on. Anthony was brilliant last season when loaned out. Rashford was very good
Mm.
when loaned
But
out.
can these teams afford the wages? That's the question.
But that is the thing. These players will either sit at United and maybe get loaned out, or they could say, "Hey, let me take a pay cut and go here
If you were
and
in
get
a
some game
Rashford
time."
position, Christoph, for example, being paid what, 300,000 pounds per week?
350,000
Three
per week.
hundred and fifty thousand pounds per week. What would your decision be? So put yourself in Rashford's position. The coach doesn't want you. You're out of the squad. And if you move, you'll have to take a pay cut. What would you do if you're a Rashford?
If I was a Rashford, if I could
Hmm.
stay at United and get loaned out to potentially a big club, I would do that. That would be my first choice.
First
If
option.
not, I would definitely try and move on to a different team. I would
So
take a
you're
pay
saying
cut.
you're taking a pay cut, you're
Right,
leaving
but here's the
that
thing.
350,000.
If the player is actually good, the player will go, he performs well at this smaller club, another big club comes, snaps him up, boom, you're back in the big
I'm
money.
not sure about that. I was listening to Mika Richards recently, or some time ago, and I think a similar situation happened to him, where he was being paid some hefty wages over there at Man City.
Mm.
Zabaleta came in and took his position right back. And I think Aston Villa came in and made an offer, substantially less money than he would have been getting at Man City, but he would get playing time. He
You,
made the move, and now, in hindsight, he regrets the move because subsequently Aston Villa got relegated, and whatever he was getting got slashed in half
yeah,
again.
but
And
Micah
now, in
Richards then left
hindsight,
and went
he's
to
saying
Inter
he's quite
Milan, right?
regretful of that.
Here's
So it's the same thing I'm saying. I mean, Rashford could
here.
make the move,
No,
and
no,
next thing
no.
you know, he gets injured.
Here's the difference between that Rashford situation and the Micah Richards situation. So in Zabaleta came in, um Richards was told, "Hey, we're going to give you a new contract that is significantly more than you have now, but you are the backup to Micah Richards. You obviously he would still get games, he would just not be a starter. The
Right?
difference with a Rashford, a Garnacho, a Anthony, and who else is it over there? They will not be getting any game time. So
So they're
yes,
being frozen out, similar to what Chelsea did to some of their
they
players.
are on these big wages, yes, but they will not be getting any game time.
So
That is the
you're saying
difference.
if you were a Rashford, you're leaving the 350,000 and you're taking a contract for less money at another club. Would be your decision.
If I am actually a good player and I know I can go elsewhere and perform and do well, I would be leaving because if I Rashford. If Rashford leaves, he goes to Aston Villa. He performs well. Maybe he gets 20 plus goals or whatever. A big team will come in, right?
At his age.
A player big if you are good enough. It don't matter what your age is. If you
Mm.
are good enough, it does not matter what your age is. Lewandowski left Bayern Munich at 35, went to Barcelona. He's getting big money and he's still scoring a lot of goals. If you are good enough, it does not matter the age.
But I mean, you've always been a harsh critic of Rashford, and
That's what
he's
I'm
just not
saying.
good enough. I
In
mean,
my opinion, Rashford is not good enough and Rashford
right,
is not
right.
as
So
good.
why would he leave?
So that's
I would
why
not believe in that
no, but
350 in
that's what
his,
I said.
yeah.
If Rashford, the man, says he is a good player, if he is actually a good
Mm.
player, he can go and perform and then get another big contract
All I'm
elsewhere.
saying is I'm
If
not
he's
leaving that
not,
350.
if he's not, but you have other deals.
You would have to buy for me to leave, you have to buy me out. You
You
have to
have
buy out my contract for me
you
to
also
leave.
have this you also have this other type of contract that sometimes people do when they get transferred. So for instance, Aston Villa buys a Rashford. Aston Villa can say, all right, we will buy Rashford from you for 40, 60 million, whatever. Rashford, however, is getting 350,000. We cannot afford 350,000, so we will pay 120 and you pay the remainder for the remaining time of what his contract would be at Man United. And
Mm.
then after that, he only gets 120 with us.
Oh, okay,
So
got you.
that is
Well,
also something that clubs do.
so yeah, that could work, but I'm
Chelsea
definitely
used
not
to do it
leaving
a
that
lot.
350, brother. I'm definitely
Chelsea,
not leaving that 350.
Chelsea used to do that a lot to get rid of players.
Well, I would have to do that because I am definitely not leaving that 350. If you don't want to play me and pay me my 350 weekly, then that is what I will do, brother.
But
That's too much
again,
money to just
it's
give up just like that.
it's
I'm
like
not
I
leaving
said,
that.
United buy these players for big money and then put them on big salaries and then they don't perform. In the case of Rashford, he's coming from the academy, so there was no cost of buying them. But you put him on a big salary at a very young age, and then what? He does not perform at the level that you want him to do. He does not improve to the level that you want him to be. Whatever the reason is for the lack of performance, whether it be the atmosphere at United or the tactics that are being deployed by the manager, you have made a loss on this player. And he has not even left, and he's still under contract.
Ah, indeed. Interesting times ahead for sure, especially at Manchester United. But lots of movements taking place in the transfer market. Viewers and subscribers, we are quickly running out of time. Christoph, any final thoughts as it relates to the off season we're seeing and teams now heading into preseason?
Um, I mean, the Club World Cup is over. We saw where the European teams complained about the heat and complained about the quality of the pitch. Could be telling for the World Cup next year. Granted, I
Indeed,
know
indeed.
the World Cup will have a different attendance because it's the World Cup. Um, America is not a footballing nation, but with the World Cup, you'll be having a lot of international visitors coming to watch that different thing. As for the off season and the rest of clubs that are making a lot of interesting signings so far, it will be interesting to see where people end up by the end of the window and how these squads shape out at the start of the season.
Well, there you have it, viewers and subscribers, the thoughts from Christoph. Thanks again for tuning in to us here on Beating the Press podcast. But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.